Hi Kids Clubbers, and welcome back to another Make It Monday. Today we're going to make pizza from scratch, and so in the first part of the video I'm going to show you how to make the pizza dough. So for that you're going to need a mixing bowl and a coffee mug, not too big. You're going to need a jug of warm water, so just run the tap till it's warm, a little bit of olive oil if you have it, and some table salt, some plain flour, and if you can you need to get a packet of fast action dried yeast, and then you need a teaspoonful of sugar as well. And so this is how I learned to make pizza. And so you're going to take your plain flour and you're going to add 3 cups of flour. So you're going to use this cup as your measuring cup, so just roughly put 3 cups of flour. That's 1, 2, oops, 3 cups of flour. Okay, save the rest of your flour because you're going to need it to dust your worktop in a little while. So we've got the flour in there. I'm going to take the yeast and open it, and then I'm just going to sprinkle it on top of the flour. Then I'm going to add my teaspoonful of sugar. Sugar's not essential, but it does help with the yeast. And then I'm going to take a good pinch of salt, and I'm going to mix that in as well. So at this point all I'm going to do is mix it together. So you've got all your dry ingredients and you mix them together, and it doesn't matter how big your mug is, but you just need to make sure that you use the same mug to measure the other ingredients. Okay, so here we go, we're mixing everything together and that looks really good. So now what I'll do is make a well in the middle of the flour. Now you could do this on the worktop and just mix it all in on the worktop, but it's kind of easier in a bowl. And I will take my olive oil and put in a good glug, so that's maybe about a tablespoonful of olive oil. And then I'm going to take my mug that I used to measure the flour and I'm going to pour the hot water in the mug. And so when you've got a full mug, that's what we're going to try to use. So I'm going to start off by adding just a little bit of the water, maybe about half the mug of water, and then I'm going to, with the wooden spoon, mix it all together. Okay, so obviously it needs some more water. I'm going to add more in. There we go. Still need some water. So that's a whole mug that we've used. That's 1 mug of water. No. Okay, so we don't want it to get too wet and we don't want it to be too dry either. Okay, and so the best way to do this is to use your hands. So if you've got, make sure your hands are nice and clean and that you've not got any jewellery on. I've got my ring on, and it'll get mixed up in the ring. But I'm just going to mix this up because we don't want it to be too wet by adding more water, but just mixing it's not going to help. So you need to really get your hands in there, get your hands into the dough, knead it. Try not to spill it over the edge like me. But the dough will be quite moist, so it will pick up the rest of the flour. There we go. Now at this stage, because there's only a little bit left of flour, I'm going to tip it out onto my board, onto my work surface. You can use a chopping board. And I'm going to put my bowl to one side. I'm going to take the moist dough that's on my fingers off, scrape it off onto the dough that's on the worktop, and then we're just going to knead it together, and it will pick up all the spare pieces, but you are going to have to knead it, and I'm going to try not to make the camera shake too much because it's attached to my worktop. Okay, So you can see it's picked up virtually all the flour that was on the work surface. And it came together really very quickly. But it's important that you give it a good knead, that's what I'm doing now, so that the yeast can activate inside the bread. Okay, so that's all you need to do. What I tend to do now is you can wrap it in cling film, or you can put it back in the bowl and put cling film over the top and let it grow. It's going to prove it's got to be twice the size it is. But what I tend to do is put a little bit of oil in the bottom of my bowl, and then I just sear around the outside. I just make sure there's a little bit of oil on all of my dough. And then what I'm going to do, because we are renovating our kitchen, I'm going to put this lid on. So I've actually got a casserole dish, and I'm going to leave this for maybe half an hour to an hour, and I'll come back and see how it is progressing. So you want it to grow to be double in size. So next time I'm with you, I will have my dough at that level, and I'll tell you how long it is to do. Okay. Hi Kidz Klubbers, I'm back again. So you can probably tell because it's a bit darker now, but a lot of time has passed, and look how big my dough has become now. So I've let it sit for quite some time because I've been busy doing other things. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out of this glass bowl that I have, so it shrinks back down again. And I'm going to take a little bit of plain flour, oops, stuck to my board, and I'm going to give it a knead. So I want to knock out some of the air bubbles that are in my dough and make it nice and pliable, and then I'm going to give it a roll out and put it in my tray for the oven. Okay, so that's quite good. This is just very simple dough to make. I'm going to cut it in half, and that will make 2 pizzas. So I'm going to keep that covered up, the one that I'm not using just now. And then I'm just going to put a little bit more flour on here. And then I'm going to get the rolling pin. There we go. So I decided to invest in a rolling pin, seeing as we seem to be making things all the time. And so we want to roll it out, and you can make it as thick or as thin as you like. My husband quite likes it to be a thin crust pizza, so that's where we're going. We're going to make it quite thin. Oh, cat here. So roll it out, and then every now and again you want to turn it 90 degrees to start rolling it that direction, and then flip it over as well. So I'm going to flip it over. So it's beginning to get quite big now. So it's still quite stretchy and pliable. You can see it's quite stretchy. But I'm going to take my tray to the oven. There it is. And I'm going to pop a little bit of, dust it with a bit of flour. And that will just help the pizza not to stick in the oven when it's cooking. And then I'm going to pop my pizza in my tray. Now we happen to have a round tray because at the moment we're only using our microwave, which is a combination oven. So I'm just going to stretch it out a little bit further. There we go. So it's quite a big pizza that I've made. There we go, that stretches quite well. And so the next step is to decorate it. So I'll be back in a few minutes and we'll decorate this pizza. Okay, I'm back, and it's getting darker and darker by the minute. It is getting quite late now. So I have chopped up some vegetables. I've got some yellow peppers here. You can have red peppers or green peppers. I've got some mushrooms. I've got some red onions. I've got some sweet corn. And we quite like things spicy, so I've got some jalapeno peppers and some cheese. We have some mozzarella cheese, but you can use any kind of cheese grated. And you can put whatever you want on your pizza. So if you've got pepperoni, you can put that on it, or chicken, whatever you want to put on. Slice up a cooked sausage and put that on there. Tomatoes and cheese, that's up to you. So the good thing about pizza is it's great for using up things that you've got in the fridge that might be just a little bit and not enough to make a proper meal with. And so it's a really cool way to use up spare ingredients. I'm going to move this out of the way now. And I don't have much space here. There we go. And I'm going to bring back my pizza. So all I've got here for the pizza base, now I know some people don't like tomato base, they like barbecue sauce, but I'm going to use some Italian passata, and I'm just going to pour the tomato sauce out. You could use a jar or a cooking jar sauce of bolognese or some kind of Italian sauce, and so I'm going to pop that on here. I mean, you might even want to use tomato ketchup if that's your jam, if that's what you want. Not sure jam would taste good, but if you want to use ketchup, you can. Or tin tomatoes, just mash them down a bit. Okay, so we've got quite good coverage. I want to get it quite close to the edge for my sauce. To liven things up a little bit, I'm going to add in a few dried herbs, just to make it taste a bit better. There you go. So I've got some dried herbs. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to start to put my vegetables in. We've got quite a lot because I'll have enough dough to make a second pizza, probably tomorrow. We won't eat too much tonight. And here we go. So you can just decorate it. I mean, you can be really artistic and skillful and put your ingredients down how very prettily, or you can be like me and throw them on there. Here we go. So we've got lots of mushrooms. I'm going to put some red onions in. Split the onions up so that they're not just big lumps. Nobody wants a big lump. And it's good to chop things quite finely. So you don't need a huge amount of ingredients, but you want them to be chopped finely so that they cook evenly. And then I'm going to add some sweet corn. We've got sweet corn that's about to go off, so we should use that up. Here we go. And then I'm going to add in a few jalapeno peppers. Excellent. And then last but not least, I'm going to stick the cheese on top. And so we just happen to have some mozzarella, but we've also got some ordinary cheddar in the fridge for grating. We're just going to add this to the pizza. And hey presto, we're done. So now all you need to do is pop it into the oven. I would say a medium temperature, so 180 degrees for about 12 to 15 minutes maximum, depending on how thick your base is. And then just make sure that it doesn't burn on top. So gas mark 5 or 6, I think that would be. And I don't know what it is in Fahrenheit, I'm afraid, but it's about 180 degrees centigrade. Okay, I will show you a picture of my finished pizza when it comes out of the oven, but that's all you need to do. So I will say goodbye for now, and we'll see you at the next live at 5. Take care. Bye bye.